Rohan, go ahead. Okay, there you go. Very sharp in a tie. Very nice. Yes, we see your screen, Rohan. You need to unmute yourself.
Is it working now?
Yes, it's perfect. Go ahead.
Sounds good. So hello, my name is Rohan Pallerla, and I come from Wabanzi Valley High School in Aurora, Illinois. And this is my thesis defense. The topic I've chosen is how nanoparticles work in relation to the treatment of liquid tumors. And the question I aim to answer is, how can certain nanoparticles be implemented in patient treatment and treating these liquid tumors, with the objective of determining and identifying the efficacy and applications of various nanoparticles in the treatment of liquid tumors. So I brought up this idea of liquid tumors, but more specifically, I wanted to delve into the key concepts of leukemia and lymphoma. So both leukemia and lymphoma can be defined as liquid tumors due to their unique diagnostic characteristics. Both of these are cancers that develop in the blood, bone marrow, or lymph nodes, with leukemia, as said in the name, targeting lymphocytes or leukocytes, or white blood cells, and lymphoma targeting lymphocytes or cells that are located in your lymphatic system. These cancers are separated from other solid cancers, which can be categorized as solid masses that grow in various organ systems throughout the body because they are liquid and don't settle in one place. The reason why these are so hard to treat and attack with certain nanoparticles is because of this thing called enhanced permeability and retention, or EPR effect. So the EPR effect actually works against these liquid tumors, because when you have a solid tumor, such as like a brain tumor or a cardiothoracic tumor, what happens is these nanoparticles, they can collect inside of the tumor or around surrounding organs to more effectively increase the efficacy of the treatment being provided, right? So when we do have liquid tumors that are constantly running in vitro throughout the body, these nanoparticles aren't able to take advantage of this EPR effect. And going through this idea of nanoparticles, like what are nanoparticles? So nanoparticles are generally these small particles that range between 1 and 100 nanometers, with some of them going significantly above, going to even like 1,000 nanometers, which in the diagram shown, you can see like lipid-based nanoparticles are like that. And they essentially just optimize biocompatibility as well as act as a direct treatment for targeted cancer therapy rather than radiation or chemotherapy. So as you can see in this diagram here, we have nanoparticles, which are generally just a general term for all of these specific nanoparticles. We have solid lipid nanoparticles, which are made out of surfactants, fats, or lipids, and they're used to target cancer treatment as well. Dendrimers, which operate in kind of an array that is different from solid lipid nanoparticles because they're artificial and use different methods to actually target the cancer. Carbon nanotubes, which have been relatively recently revolutionary in not only treating cancer, but in other applications such as engineering and aerospace as well. We have quantum dots, which actually help a lot with the diagnostics and actually identifying the cancers. Liposomes and the other one, which as well, can also help treat the cancer and provide targeted treatment. While all these are there, one thing that I did actually focus on throughout my entire research process was this idea of nanometals. So although this isn't mentioned on this diagram, as this diagram is taken from GARC 2021, nanometals actually can comprise of gold or silver particles that can effectively collect within solid tumors and liquid tumors with certain coatings to more effectively target certain cancers. So when it came to my literary review, the current challenges that I wanted to face was that efficacy is extremely difficult to attain when treating liquid tumors with nanoparticles, just because of the lack of utilizing the EPR effect, right? And due to this lack of availability and resources provided, we have to find new and innovative solutions to actually overcome these challenges. And I also had to delve into the types of nanoparticles taking into account cost, efficacy, sustainability, and availability, which nanoparticles are most applicable. And I needed to connect the past to the present by analyzing sources to connect past publications to the various nanoparticle applications. The driving studies I utilized were Dung et al. 2019, Vafa et al. 2021, and Kavusi et al. 2022, each of which detailed specifically nanoparticles, but more so nanometals in treating and diagnosing certain cancers. So my methodology. I first began with developing my topic, which I decided on liquid tumor just because I thought it was extremely interesting how there wasn't much research for nanometals in treating liquid tumors, while there was extensive research on treating nanometals, on treating solid tumors with nanoparticles. And so after that, my next step was gathering the literature, obviously, and then analyzing and reviewing the said literature to formulate an idea of how these different sources work together and forming conclusions based on the literature that was analyzed and providing eventually recommendations on what I believe should happen next. So the summary of my entire methodology process was how I compiled existing data and studies to synthesize a well-rounded meta-analysis containing elements of significant past research. So the results. After analyzing and contrasting various nanoparticles, gold or colloidal gold nanoparticles, AUNPs, were something I found to be the most ideal in treatment for liquid tumors. And as you can see in this diagram, these are three different variations of how gold can be applied to treat the different tumor cells. And gold nanoclusters, gold nanocages, and gold nanorods, as you can see, they have different densities. So in some of the articles I found, because they have different densities and different sizes, the application of different types of gold nanoparticles, it varies extremely between cancer to cancer. But in treating liquid tumors, obviously we want something that goes and targets smaller particles that are constantly free flowing. So we want to use something that's higher density and lower size. And something that I also observed when it came to the coatings in which these nanoparticles were covered with were bovine albumin and hyaluronic acid. Many people know hyaluronic acid as a sort of skincare treatment, but actually has applications obviously within nanotechnology and treating these liquid tumors. So hyaluronic acid and bovine albumin, as a coating, they can act as a protective surface and improve the longevity of these nanoparticles within the bodily systems, and also minimize the amount of surrounding damage to any other organs, and only targeting like the specific cancers themselves rather than anything else. So to conclude, the limitations within my study are that as a meta-analysis or secondary source, I did not personally conduct any study and use data published by external sources and not my own. And alongside that, minimal research has only been conducted on using nanoparticles specifically for liquid tumors and instead of solid tumors, because we know that solid tumors can take advantage of the aforementioned EPR effect, and liquid tumors have to use the already present resources to transfer into a different strategy to target like cancers such as leukemia and lymphoma. So as for my personal contribution to this topic, by authoring this meta-analysis, I've effectively synthesized a database for researchers to discern the potential benefits and shortcomings of a certain nanoparticles in treating liquid tumors. And by doing this, if anyone has to expand or create new research on the actual nanoparticles, they can reference my research paper and publication just to see and get an idea of the previous literature out there without finding individual studies, which is the entire purpose of the meta-analysis. In terms of acknowledgements, I would really like to thank Professor Lilova for helping me out with gathering articles and helping me like integrate different coatings, which I had previously not considered, into my actual argument for why I believe nanometals and specifically gold nanoparticles should be used. And I would like to thank Professor Virgil, because I believe that he helped me a lot with the actual writing process and organizational aspect of this entire research process, as I was now after able to meet with him and go to his classes, gain a deeper understanding in how I should be formatting my entire argument while also conducting the research that was necessary. Thank you.
Rohan, extremely good. A good presentation, good level of interest and depth. Amazing job. Please make sure that you finish your research paper and submit it for publishing. We will give you a kind of sabbatical to prepare for your AP exams and everything. And after that, around May 16, we'll invite you back to submit for GSR. And May 31st is the deadline. I'd like you to meet that deadline because you are applying to colleges, telling them that you've submitted your paper for publication itself as a win, right? So amazing job. Dr. Lilova, any questions for Rohan?
Great job, and it's a great topic. Very interesting. So while you were looking in depth into the metal nanoparticles, did you see other applications related to the liquid tumors, like, for example, diagnostics?
So in terms of diagnostics, I saw that quantum dots actually had certain applications in diagnosing the liquid tumors. As I didn't go delve too much deep into it because my research paper is more on the topic of treatment of liquid tumors. But these quantum dots, like I believe what they do is that as they enter the body, they can take in light or infrared and they can detect like certain tumors that are within the body. And diagnostics are also obviously a very important factor to consider, because without diagnosis, you can't have treatment, and diagnosis early on is extremely important to further treatment and then next level nanoparticle usage.
Thank you. Great job.
Excellent. Okay, great job.